Hi, Dad. What the hell are you doing in here, son? I'm just doing the subwoofer crawl, where you crawl around the room, you put your subwoofer on the couch, and you put your speaker on my couch? You have to put it on the couch to do this crawl. Dad. Oh, come on, Dad. No.
Bring your butt here now.
No.
I'm gonna wear your behind out.
Wait till I tell your mother what you just did to her couch. She's gonna be pissed. Yo, Kpaceguy here. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm bringing you sort of a review of the Klipsch SPL-100 subwoofer that you guys can pick up right now for $659. But you can often pick this up a lot cheaper if you go for the used or refurbished market. You can find this under $300. This is Klipsch's 10-inch subwoofer with a flared port down at the bottom, which I do like, in a kind of a, it's a fake wood, of course. It's MDF wood with like a wrap around it, some kind of vinyl wrap around it, but overall it's a solid performer. I've heard this in 2 different rooms. If you watch my tour of JP's Kentucky home theater, Klipsch home theater, I listened to it a lot in his room, and then of course I brought it in my room. My room's a lot more treated currently than his is, so I got 2 different sounds. And so I have a pretty good overall idea of what this thing does well and what it does not do well. And so let's kind of talk about some of the specs. Like I said, this is a 10-inch subwoofer from Klipsch, the SPL-100, with a 250, I think it's 250 watts RMS, 450 watts peak, something like that. So not an incredibly powerful subwoofer, but it does pack above its weight class. This is not a big subwoofer at all. Not gonna take up a lot of floor space, not a lot of footprint at all. But it does sound bigger than what it is. I was actually pretty impressed when I heard it in JP's room. It does punch pretty heftily, I guess I can say. And then in this room too, which my room is slightly bigger than his, it does pretty well too. I wouldn't put it in a medium-sized room whatsoever because you start to really accent its weaknesses, but we'll talk about those here in just a second. So 250 watts RMS, I think 250 watts RMS, 450 watts peak. On the back side here is the plate amp that they use, just your normal settings here. Your on, auto, or off switch, phase switch 0 to 180 degrees. Your low pass filter where you can set your crossover. If you're using this with a home theater receiver, you want to set it to maximum or LFE. And then you have your gain knob, which is a volume knob, of course. Your input options are 2 line in, so left and right line in. If you're only using an LFE signal from your receiver, you'll plug it into the white one on the right. You have a WA port, which I assume is their wireless transmitter you can plug, I believe. So you can get a wireless transmitter from Klipsch and plug it up to your Klipsch subwoofer if you like. I believe that's what it's for. If I'm wrong, please correct me down below in the comment section. You have the ability to change its voltage from 120 to 240 depending on where you are in the world. And then of course your plug is there. So overall, really solid performer, really solidly constructed. It has a pretty healthy weight to it, regardless of it being a smaller subwoofer. It does have a pretty good amount of weight. So like I said, this thing runs right now for $659, but you can find some hefty competitors that give you a little bit more low bass extension and more power for less money. So it's interesting. I'm not gonna name a few, but you guys probably know some subwoofers that you can get for this amount of money and get more performance. So that's something to be aware about. Now let's talk about how it sounded. I'm gonna talk about it more in my room since my room is a little more treated than his, so I got a more accurate sound out of this sub. Like I said, this thing can punch above its weight. Usually when you think 10-inch subwoofers, you think small rooms only, and I still think this is a good small room sub, but it can fill that small room with tons of pressure without really any trouble. Now, if you are a heavy bass person, if you like a lot of bass, loud bass, you may want to look elsewhere when it comes to this because it does reach its mechanical limits. You can hear distortion and bottoming out really easy with this subwoofer at those really low notes. Under 35 hertz or so at high volumes, it really struggles. It does dig relatively deep. I'll have to find the specs. I'll put the specs on the screen, but it does dig pretty deep. But at high volumes, you start to really hear that 10-inch, 250 watt, 200 watt subwoofer when it comes to that kind of category. It's not made necessarily to dig super deep, 17, 18, 19 hertz. So if you're somebody who listens to a lot of music or plays a lot of movies with a lot of low bass extension, this isn't going to perform as solid as you would like. Now let's talk about what it does do well. Now, like I said, again, it punches above its weight, meaning that it gets a lot louder than you do expect. Those 40, 50, 60 hertz on up, it's a solid performer in that range. You can really feel it hit you in your chest at times, and it vibrates just about everything in the room, which is really impressive. You don't expect a 10-inch subwoofer that's actually this small to perform this well, and it does. Now, when it comes to like SVS or Rythmik or Sue Research or those kind of subs, I think that's where this one falls short. I think you can get more bang for your buck for less money. $659 compared to some of the competition is a steep price to pay when on paper other subs outperform it, in the likes of SVS and the others that I mentioned. Now, if you have Klipsch speakers already, like the RP8000Fs or maybe some other reference series speakers from them, it almost makes sense to go ahead and grab one of their subs just to tie in the whole Klipsch sound system. And of course, Klipsch subs pair really well with Klipsch speakers, crossover and all that stuff. They're meant to be kind of put together. It's whenever you mix it with different speakers is where you start to hear the difference in how they built their sub versus how the other company you own built their speakers. But when you pair Klipsch with Klipsch, you have a really nice cohesive unit. I think this is where this flourishes the most, is when you pair it with Klipsch's other speakers, like the Reference series, for example. Reference Premier, those aren't bad too, like the bookshelves, these 600Ms, those pair very well together. But if you're getting some of the higher quality Klipsch speakers like the 8000Fs, or I think they have like 8020s or something now, the big dog, you may want to upgrade in size and in power, because this does fall behind rather quickly when it comes to high volumes. Now, sound quality wise, how does it sound? Like I said, solid performer, sounds really good, articulate, punches you in the chest in movies, sounds decently good in music as well. I would, if you're a hip hop, R&B maybe type of person, maybe even some jazz, I don't think that it really accents its strengths with this subwoofer because it doesn't like really low, loud bass. If you have it moderate volumes, low volumes, it does sound pretty good, but the low extension is lacking with this subwoofer. But I think because of that, it's a lot better for movies than music, in my opinion. Listening to music wasn't that pleasing. It was hard to integrate with the room because some frequencies sounded punchy, a little too punchy, almost muddy sounding, and then other frequencies sounded nice and really smooth, and other frequencies just bottom out. So it's really hard to find a sweet spot with this sub, but for movies, it does very well. You like that punchiness, you want that in your chest feeling, and this is what this 10-inch sub does very well. And so overall, I'll give this probably 3.5, maybe 4 stars out of 5, just because there are things out there that do outperform it for less or the same money. And then I just don't like the fact that it struggles towards the lower end. That's why you buy a sub, is to reach deep. And I know that this can get deep, but moderate to high volumes, you start to fatigue the sub a little bit. You start to reach its mechanical limits. It bottoms out. You just miss that power that you wish you had, and you're forced to turn down the sub because you don't have the headroom like you would expect to have. So this is my first Klipsch sub that I've heard in my home. If you guys have any recommendations of Klipsch subs that you want me to try to bring in here, I'll try to do my best to go out there and get them and do them. This is more of their, I wouldn't say entry-level subs. I think they have subs that are lesser priced than this, but they definitely have subs that cost more. So if you want me to kind of venture into some of their big dog subwoofers, I don't mind doing that as well. There's some pegs here on the front, so it looks like there is a cover for this, but JP doesn't have one for me. But there looks like there's a cover, so if you don't like the copper look, there is a black grill on the front that you can cover all this up with. So thank you so much, JP, for allowing me to take this to my home to review for you guys. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think of Klipsch subs compared to the market. Are they good, bad, subpar? What do you think about Klipsch subs? I'm very interested to know that down below in the comment section. Hit that like button and subscribe if you are not already. We will see you guys in the next video. Kpaceguy out. Peace.